Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Mashin Sentai Kiramager. I am Vashi V, and joining me today for the most beautiful, adorable episode in Sentai ever is.
Right. Sorry we missed our normal time on Tuesday. That was my fault. I forgot all about the podcast. Like 1 hour before, too. I remembered all day.
like the funny thing with it is I have a habit of I will get home and just be exhausted as hell and take a nap on Tuesday and then just not wake up. I thought that's what you had done, like
No, I just started doing
as in
something else and forgot that there was even I didn't even hear my phone go off when you tried messaging me.
like my brain went, this is karma for every time you've done this to him.
Now you know what it's like. Just sitting here for 20 minutes wondering,
Going,
they're not showing up our way day.
yeah. It got to 9:30. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just do it Thursday.
But I
So,
told you.
Yes, we know Pixie.
oh, is Pixie here?
She hasn't joined us, but yeah, she pointed out that yeah, this is more or less what I would have done to you.
So, welcome to Kiramager episode 31. It's unreal. Like, we're approximately three-fifths of the way through the series.
Right. And this is what I think part of what throws it off is the fact that the show doesn't match up with Ryder because they're always like roughly mid-season when the other one starts.
Right,
So it's
but
like
like,
so we're
schedules got thrown off, and Ryder is on its own schedule anyways.
right. It's like and then it's like Ryder's only like 10 episodes in. This doesn't feel like it's been going on much longer than Saber. Ah, but this is an episode that proves when Toei truly puts the time in, an episode is flawless. Like give it all the flack of them, for lack of a better term, half-assing like ideas and shit. This is literal. They knew what they were doing. They had a vision for it, and it was executed exactly the best way. Even
So,
if it was you know a 20-minute long toy commercial.
I mean, aren't most episodes?
Not nearly to this level.
So, yeah, no. There's a section in the episode where it just straight up is a toy commercial. But so the episode opens up and Takemichi and Jiro return to base after a successful mission. Just them because everyone else had to go back to their day jobs. And
Wait. I feel is a nice thing that they actually touched on again because again, that was something of the premise at the start of the show that literally vanished.
right, and how old is Jiro?
He's in high school.
Yeah, but like for how long?
It wasn't specified
Cuz
what
like
year he was in.
Sogo graduated halfway through his show, but like what's the deal with Jiro here?
He's everybody else is working second shift, so he's out of school now. Like it's one of those things like where they introduce ideas and just tend to ignore them because it's, to be fair, it's not something that needs to be completely touched on, but it would be nice to have that little bit of it of explanation and realism.
So,
You put him in school for a reason, at least actually use that.
so the only so it's just Jiro and Takamichi, and the only gemstones available are the core 5. The rest have been summoned to Atamald for a conference with the king. This includes the dug up infantile earth gems.
Yeah, that's I mean, you're a new subject.
Like, let me give you the rundown since you probably haven't gotten that. Uh, and the gemstones insist that just because you can call the king whenever you want doesn't mean you should. It's,
Which again, it, that goes back to what we pointed out that we liked about the setup with not having the ability to call the king set up for that standard thing of only escalate if it's necessary, and then they just did the workaround of oh yeah, no, we just had to fix the arrow so now you can call them whenever. This goes back to the whole, yeah, no, he's still the king, you shouldn't do that.
especially since he's like in an important conference right now.
Like, and it makes sense, and I really enjoyed that they re-input that rule right after taking the rule away.
So when Yodana sends another Jamenju, not the small Jamenchi, but the giant one, uh, Takemichi and Jiro jump out in their mechs to go fight it. It makes things big and small.
Because it's the touchscreen zoom on a phone.
So it shrinks Jiro and Takemichi down. And their mechs like revert to their normal states. And they just fall off into the city. So keep in mind that Takemichi is his mech. So
Yeah.
we get a bunch of scenes of Jiro in the cockpit, but Takemichi is just Geigen Driller.
Like, and I actually had a thought about this. Can he revert back to his human form?
He probably can, but chose not to.
Like, I get the reasoning behind not doing so, because obviously, once everything's, this is what happened. Yeah, I'd want to be as big as I could be too.
So after seeing a giant cat and realizing, like, no, that's not a giant cat, we're just small.
After that, this episode becomes a giant toy commercial.
Rangers!
Like, the thing I like about that, and yes, thank you, I'm glad you actually heard it that time. Like, this sets up, like those interesting storylines of how do you deal with this, or how would this ranger deal with this scenario, and while yes, it's there, it's literally nothing to do with the episode. Them getting shrunk was just what let the episode happen.
Right. Yodana shrunk them down because she wanted to collect them, but she's too late in searching for them because a boy and his mom happen to be passing by the area, and the mom has to work, so the son will be left alone for a few hours. And on his way home, hey, what are these toys doing here? Well, if somebody threw them out, then why not? I don't want them to go to waste.
Like, and that's a fair expectation for a kid to do. Especially a younger kid, because they're not going to understand the concept of these may belong to somebody. Which, to be fair, they did address later in the episode, kind of harshly. But yeah, if a kid sees toys laying out, they're more likely to grab them, especially if there's no adult to instruct them otherwise.
And there's no one around. This isn't in someone's yard. This is literally just sitting on the ground somewhere. So of course he would think like, well, somebody must have not wanted these if they just left them lying here.
Right. Like it's a very natural reaction for the kid to do. And I do want to point out, like, this is the setup for this episode is also something that's a very stark contrast between Japan and the U.S. In the U.S., you're not leaving an elementary school kid by himself at home for any amount of time because you're not allowed to do that. In Japan, apparently it's okay.
Um, I mean, this is something you like. I just think that
Ultimately,
kids
it comes down to
are
how well,
more kids are taught to be more self-reliant at an earlier age in Japan is what I think it
oh,
comes down to.
which I wholeheartedly agree with is a thing. Um, and like their laws in terms of that are vastly different than they are here. Because here, if you do that, that is a literal crime here because of the thing, anything that can happen while you're not there. It's a let's keep the kids safe measure, and I accept that measure. It's just weird seeing this happen in a show and going, why is the mother? Oh wait, yeah, no, this is Japan.
This is another region.
This is Japan. This isn't the U.S. and child neglect.
uh, so kid uh Tatsuji or something like that. Um,
I literally looked it up earlier and I forgot
I
the
don't
name.
remember. Uh, he takes the toys out and he cleans them off and takes proper care of them. And then this is where it turns into a toy commercial slash Toy Story.
Yeah, you're not right. Yeah, actually, they did go full on Toy Story rules, didn't it?
Uh,
Until jurors stopped caring.
yes, which happened in Toy Story.
Yeah, you're right.
For different reasons, vastly different reasons, but still.
Um,
Uh,
the kid's name is Tatsuki.
Tatsuki. So Tatsuki sets up an obstacle course, like a bunch of plastic cups and empty bottles of like, oh, it's a city, and oh no, like there's trouble, and the task force has to go, and he just starts playing with them.
He literally starts playing Sentai, like the because or like Metal Heroes or whatever vehicle or whatever series would have mechs, and it is such a pure moment.
It's like send the jet in to fly up, but oh no, the jet crashes, and he like drops it in between the couch cushions. He's like helicopter go, but then like he passes by fans like, oh no, strong winds, and he drops her in the trash.
Like this is very much accurate and shows an innate understanding onto his part of
A
how
clean,
kids will play with their stuff.
like a clean, empty wastebasket. I should mention. Like he's taking good care
Yeah,
of them.
he's he's taking excellent care of them. Outside of the I'm a kid, we're gonna rough up the toys because we are playing with the toys. So
Yeah,
like he's running them. He runs fire into a bunch of stuff that like pillows fall on him and stuff like that.
like uh, the Martians aren't too happy with this because they're literally being played with. But Drew is sitting inside the cockpit, like the biggest grin on his face, like this is amazing.
Right. Because again, like he's young enough. I feel that this is literally just. I used to do the same thing.
Yeah, if this was
This is
like
like this is it. I feel this is him going. So this is what it looks outside of the imagination.
yeah, if this was Blue, then he'd probably be like, oh, this kid.
Right. Like Sayo would have thought it was adorable, but again would have wanted to be done with it. Um, Isena would have thought it was adorable, and Tomatono would have just wanted to shoot
Yeah,
something.
Tommy Tono would have pretended to be more mature than this, but he would have been liking it.
Oh, right. But at the same time, he'd be sitting there going, "You know these have guns, right?" can actually make this more realistic,
I
or
feel like
you know,
Cena would be tempted to actually start driving her car.
probably. Um, but yeah, it's like it shows that Toei has a firm understanding of not only its audience for the show, but its market for the toys, because this whole setup for the episode is exactly how most normal kids would play with these toys, especially if they had just happened to have found the toys.
or
Everything for this episode from is literally just this is reality.
and it's not even just like how they might play with them, it's giving them ideas too of like you could play with these toys like this, like have fun with it.
Right. It's like you don't just have to do what you see in the shows. Like there's this whole other thing. Because like he comes up with his own, like organization command name for the squadron, and it's like this is fantastic.
And then after crashing fire, he notices it split apart and he's like, wait, can it transform? Legs. Wait, hold on, where are the other pieces?
Right.
And he just like puts the mech together. He's like literally building the toy.
I think the best part of that entire scene, aside from the fact of, again, this is how this would play out for a kid who just found the toys and didn't know what they were. Oh wait, they change? This isn't a full thing. I wonder if the rest do. It's a very natural and honest thing. Is like, but I also loved when he was transforming Gigant Driller,
Magma
because again,
Driller!
that is, and yeah, that was funny too. He's just like, because Takamichi's just go, no, it's Gigant Driller. um, but it further reminds us that he literally is the mech. So as he's bowling, he's like, this tickles, this feels weird.
And like when he's doing Mach is just like, oh, don't touch me there. Oh.
You're not saying, no, don't touch me there. But like it's a very light-hearted, wonderful moment for a good portion of this episode.
And then eventually the kid falls asleep, and Takamichi and the mechs are all like, ah, finally, now's our chance. But Joe's like, wait. I want to stay. There's something I need to know.
And
Because,
again, Juru would be the one to do that.
yeah.
I will point out though, to me, like once they started moving, it was slightly trippy to me, not in the aspect of, oh my god, why are they moving? It was like they took a mixture of, suit filming
And
and
CGI.
CG,
Yeah.
and
Nah.
it's disconcerting as hell, because it's
Yeah.
like
It looks weird.
it looks weird, like a lot. Like things don't move the way they should, but other parts move exactly as they would. It's like, ah.
So, there's a photo of Tatsuki and his mom, and they're smiling, and Joe's like, oh, they're all sparkly. But he didn't get that impression earlier when Tatsuki was actually talking to his mom. And
Right,
seeing just
when
how
he was
happy, how sparkling he was playing with the toys, it's like, Jiro wants to know what's up.
right. Why weren't you that happy
So,
around your mom?
so he wakes Tatsuki up and pretends to be a toy that magically came to life from love, and is like, "Won't you be my friend?" And Tatsuki is just like, "Sure, I guess." Like he clearly thinks he's dreaming.
Right. Meanwhile, Takamichi's over the side going, "This is stupid."
Jiru's stupid.
But like, I love the explanation that Jiro gave. Is like, I came to life because you were a good boy.
Uh,
I would have went like, I'm asleep. I need to wake up. Like I fully side with the kid on that one.
uh, but basically, Tatsuki gets lonely, being left with alone, and since it's just him and his mom, you know, no one else is there for him.
And it's he knows like that he's going to be lonely, so that's why he wasn't all sparkly when his mom had to go to work.
Which is why he was so happy to find new toys to play with.
Right, because it took his mind off of being sad.
Meanwhile, the other Kiramagers find out what happened and, reviewing the footage, realize, oh, they've been shrunk. They could be anywhere, and start searching around town while Yodana is off searching on her own. They bump into Yodana, and the Jumenju wakes up again. So Sayo and Sina go to fight Yodana while the boys go to handle the big scary monster, reminiscing about the time before they had the Moshins.
Episode
Episode
0
0.
and the first half of episode 1.
Remember when we used to have to fight them like this? Yeah, it sucked.
uh, like it, this episode is fantastic because again, we have such a lighthearted message. We have the progress marker, which this is the best progress marker you can get by literally having them have to do what they did in the first episode.
Oh, and while this would qualify as an emergency reason to call the king, Juru has the Cureful Arrow.
And it's very tiny, so apparently it doesn't work.
I wouldn't expect it to.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't have even attempted it.
And so that's why Juru didn't, we assume.
Right, because like we never get the whole get hit. Well, actually, no. Given the fact that the communicators still work, but they can't hear Juru, it would make sense to not even try the other communication
Right, it's
system.
like, we can hear them, but they can't hear us. This is bad. And so Juru explains to Tatsuki, like, oh no, the Earth is in danger. We need to go. And so when Tatsuki's mom gets home and goes, where did you get those toys? Did you steal those? Tatsuki doesn't have time to explain it properly and takes the toys and runs.
I'm gonna get into my thought on this until like at the end of that,
Okay,
because
okay.
of how this played out is very much like other things, which is why I'm waiting.
So when she catches up to him, Juru begins talking in front of her. It's like, uh, look, I need to go. All right, Takamichi, you explain everything. I gotta go. And Takamichi explains, like, yeah, you were okay. He didn't steal us. It's complicated. But just listen to your son. Takasuki, you got something to say to your mom, right?
And he explains that, yeah, exactly what we've already know by that point.
And so the resolution is that, like, Tatsuki wants his mom to hug him before she leaves him alone for a few hours, so that he can at least feel her embrace, to make him feel less lonely.
Which is lovely sentiment. It's like in the entire plot of this episode, like the this all the shit with the child has been done time and time again in Sendai. Most recently, X-Aid. This was the first half of the Christmas. This was the Christmas episode with the asshole kid whose mom had to work, so the kid he got hurt, broke his leg, and ran off from the hospital because I hate Christmas.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember any of that. I only remember Poppy's Jingle Bell song and then the
Yeah,
bad
and
stuff that
then
happened after.
yeah. So the whole premise was the kid, his his parents worked at a pastry shop making Christmas cakes. So around Christmas they got super busy and were barely home. The kid missed his parents. So he turned into a little jackass and was acting out like immensely bad, running away from the hospital, telling his parents, "I hate Christmas," and all the whole thing, making this a lot more complicated. When in reality, he still liked it. He just wanted to spend that time with his parents, which Emu eventually found out because he followed the kid to a tree where he broke his leg, found a gift that he was working on a tree when he fell out of the tree. This is how you do this type of storyline without making the audience hate the kid for any amount of time. Because in X8, when I watched this in X8, it's like, yeah, no, screw this kid. Take your ass back to that hospital. You know better. What are you doing? Whereas this plays out very, very naturally and organic rather than it seeming more forced just because of they want to do that type of episode and distract us from the evil things they decide to do in that show.
Merry Christmas.
The closer we get to Christmas, the more that's going to get brought up by me. So I apologize now to everybody watching the podcast.
Since we're on the subject, did you ever watch Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt?
Yes.
So you know the last episode.
Yes.
And the post-credits scene and what happens there.
No, I missed the post-credit scene.
Oh, okay.
I didn't watch it on a legitimate source, so it cut off after the credits or before the credits.
So the ending isn't the ending. There's a post-credits scene, and you should find it and watch it, and keep in mind that episode aired at Christmas time.
Given the fact that this got brought up because of X8, I'm very, very worried.
You should be. There's a reason people are upset we never got season 2.
I will look that up after the podcast. I will probably watch it tomorrow at work.
I'm gonna get a random angry message from you.
You do it fairly often anyways.
Yeah, but not always because I caused it.
Yeah, that's fair. Usually it's because Toei caused it.
So Juru heads back to the base and gives them a careful arrow. Muryu studied the light beam, and so with some of the blue diamond crystal things, whatever, he's able to basically replicate it and enlarge the arrow to normal size.
Because of reasons.
We already got an episode about how he's the best support character. They can just yada yada whatever they want at this point.
And they apparently will.
So they call in King Oladin, and as he arrives, he says, "When someone calls me, I shall arrive. Mashin Oladin is here." This is one of those situations where everyone is treating the royalty with these preconceived notions of formalities that the royalty themselves don't care about.
Apparently, yeah, that apparently they don't care. I mean, to be fair, let's be realistic with the king when it comes to formalities. This is a man who literally showed up on Earth, a king showed up on another planet and went, yeah, you want to shoot arrows? Fuck it, let's shoot arrows. I bet I'm better than you. Shit, we're even. I'll be back.
Hold on, I can figure this out.
And then he just starts working with random people, doing various things. He ends up accidentally adopting a kid.
Yeah, no, he just adopts Takemichi without a thought.
But it's nothing he has done has shown him to give any kind of crap about formalities.
If you actually wasted his time, of course, he would be bothered by that. But you could probably, if there's a monster attacking, then there's a monster attacking. He will come if you call him.
You can. I'm pretty sure you can call him and go, "Hey, I drew this really awesome picture. Do you think you can do better?" And he'd be, "Fuck it, I'm down."
Like, just call him to say hi, even, yeah. You're like, or like, even just call him to be like, hey, I have an important question for you about, like, the Yodam army or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, or even go
Or
so
even,
far as to,
or
I have a
even,
question for you. Why do all your sons look like Jolly Ranchers?
or even like, hey, so, your wife.
Do you want her back? We have her in the lab. Because to be fair, Mob Machine are in the base. The lab just made sense.
All of that just broke up.
Of course it did.
And now you're
I said I'm
desynced.
assuming that of course I am. Let's try to fix that. Do. Is that better?
No.
Probably not. Yeah, because you're decent on my end. Uh,
Whatever. We're almost done with this episode, anyways. Toma and Tame, not Toma. Tomo and Shigeru get to pilot the mech. Get to pilot the King's mech, Grateful Phoenix.
which also, thanks for pointing out that there's another seat on that mech.
I mean, there's two like actual mechs.
Two
There's
mechs,
Olodin and Hakobu.
right? Hey, but we all knew that you could uh, be inside Oladin. God, that sounds wrong. Um, but there was no guarantee that like Hakobu had a seat. This is that point of where it gets weird with the whole level of sentience thing. Um, because we've literally had we have multiple people transformed, but only one jumped in because that's how it. To be fair, let's have Red pilot the mech. It was the excuse for it. Is like, but it's one of those like you could put somebody else in there, made it seem like you needed two. If you're gonna turn around and put two in it, that's not in there because hey, I literally saved you and your mother.
And so the final shot is after the monster is destroyed, everyone returns to their normal size. So Tatsuki and his mom are hugging in the sunset while the giant mechs look on from the distance.
Which in my head, my brain registered they're an absurdly far distance away from this, but at the same time, it's like it had that it it played with the depth perception of it. Of it, at the same time, is like they're awfully close. There's a city around here, right? Because it's just way the bridge pierces the screen with him at the edge of it is like there
Oh,
were buildings there at one point.
I forgot to mention something. When they're restoring Kira Full Arrow to its normal size, and Drew puts it on the platform and runs away,
God, that was disturbing.
he's running, but like they took the clip of him running and just like dragged it across the screen.
Right. Instead of it looking like he's running, like his legs are moving a normal
It
or what would be a normal pace,
it
which
looks
was
like
like
he's
this.
sliding across the
But it,
screen,
yeah,
but his
while
legs
his
are
legs are
also
still
moving
moving.
at a different rate than he is running.
God, it's so creepy. Like when me and Pixie watched it, it's like we both were sitting there. It's like, and as soon as it happened, I'm like, oh my God, that looked terrible. She's like, ah, it was not good use of CG for a show that's done a good job of using CG.
And the song of the week is finally Takamichi's, and
The final one.
it's Smooth Showa.
Ah, like I pointed that out before. Is like they've done a good job of getting song styles that fit the characters. Some more than others, because I feel Pink should have been a little bit like more upbeat, but it still fit for a character. Not only did they get a song for Tametono or Takemichi that's nice and Showa, they even edited the opening to the music festival to make it look like it was on an old school TV.
And is this confirmed to be the last one?
Yes.
Okay, so we got all five Kiramagers, Mabushina,
Well,
Takemichi,
all, Takemichi.
Muryu.
Um, there should, yeah, 9.
What a
And it was a weird thing to do, but I'm glad they did.
yeah, like what a trip this was.
Like it's one of those things like where on one hand it feels like padding, but it's really not because it's not really padding because all of this replaced something that I didn't realize we weren't getting.
Right, like it only occurred to me I think last week when it's like, man, we haven't gotten the standard ending in so long. Like I forgotten what it was for a while.
That's not the only thing we haven't been getting. We haven't gotten
The mid-credit
the
scenes,
credit
yeah.
thing, which those come back next week.
Uh,
I was like I like because I looked it up to see if there was any sign of how many more they'd be doing, and they're like, yeah, next week the ending songs come back. I'm like, oh wait, we've not had those.
Kiri 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 Kiramager.
Still trying to figure out how that's a fire truck. At least that mimics the propeller
Yeah,
movement.
and like Cena, she's like just driving her car.
Blue mimics the plane.
Yeah,
And yellow is essentially the shovel. He's
like
mimicking the shovel.
I don't know what he's doing. It's
it horribly, but he's supposed to be mimicking the shovel motion, like of it digging up.
Oh,
It's
like
a lot
maybe
better
it's
than,
supposed to be like the joint of like the crane.
yeah. But it's so it's just yeah. The longer you think about it, the more sense it makes. This, however,
yeah, no, that's
makes
not
0 sense.
like. There's nothing about that that's like a. I want to say it's something to do with the ladder.
I don't care. No.
No, it like
at no point
no,
does that make me think a ladder.
like it's the best I can come up with, and no matter how I look at it, it still doesn't work.
Yeah, no. Definitely doesn't work with the leg movements. That was weird watching the quarantine video they did for that. Watching somebody other than Juru do that motion was weird.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, the Kamen Rider girls are in it. Well, 3 of them. Along with the actual cast in normal clothes, which again threw me the hell off. But yeah, like, this episode is like pure perfection for what they wanted and how they executed. The only gripe is the bad CG work. But again, Kiramager, so it gets a pass.
So, next week's episode, it's a Sayo episode. There's something about Sayo. Ah, bug flew right into my eye. There, the episode title is "There's Something About Sayo." I was trying to do something, but then whatever. Garuza returns and he takes off his helmet so we can look at his pretty face again.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen that. Outside of the split second he has, it's shown in the opening.
So yeah, while I'm not really sure what they're going for with next week's episode because it comes off as serious, but also not very. I'm not sure it's gonna be plot relevant. But Garuza is returning, so we are bringing back the more plot heavy
Serious
episodes. Yeah,
tones, yeah.
the more
Which
serious
again,
tone.
it's funny considering the fact of like the way you worded that is like no point of this show has ever been serious. Like at all, none of it. Even the very heavy plot episodes are just they're not they still end up not being serious because there's something outlandish in everyone.
So, uh, I'm gonna guess that because we were in these weren't filler episodes, but this was just like a filler arc, like in the sense that
Like
like this wasn't too plot heavy. Yes, like a few plot things happened with like making the careful arrow thing, but like this was just a few like cooldown episodes between big story beats, basically.
but they did it in a very well aspect of instead of it just like Guru's like, oh, it's like, well, I have a plan, and then with him disappearing for a few episodes and then coming back, it makes it seem like time has passed.
And so, uh, next week's episode is gonna probably the start of a new arc with whatever Garuza's new plan was. He left to go and investigate something. Now he's probably found the information he was looking for and is gonna work with that. So I'm gonna take my guess that like, cause we're in the 30s now. Next week's episode is the start of the penultimate arc of the series. Uh, and then with its conclusion, we'll like go into the final arc and
Yeah.
deal with
Um.
Yodan himself.
So, and again, this is my thoughts given the way the opening is set up, and coming down to the fact that we've watched Sentai and Rider for years, we know what spacing means in a scene. This will be the arc that introduces the final general. Because if you watch the opening, you have Garuza and Crantula, and then Yodana all the way over here, and there's a gap here. There's a big gap between here and here. It's off balance. And given the way these shows have always done that, that's typically always meant that there's going to be another general to fill that spot.
Unless you're Ryu Soldier.
Usually they're shadowed out. Yeah, unless you're Ryu Soldier.
In which case you got like 3 more generals on standby.
And you killed off one in 5 episodes. But on average, like that's usually how that stands out. Is like for when they haven't introduced all the generals. Like Lupat, we had all the generals, but Zamigo was the one who was kind of shadowed out. But they screwed the pooch on that one, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
made me think he was going to be a lot bigger of a deal than he was.
We kind of overhyped ourselves on him, but like,
yeah,
they introduced him too early.
But when you had the shadowed out,
yeah, like the way that he was
army,
the way he was portrayed in the opening made it seem like he was like the bigger threat. Like
right.
Not even necessarily the final villain, but like the bigger threat looming over the Ganglers. Like, yeah, Don Armage may be the main villain, but this guy's more serious than that. But like, then he just didn't do anything.
In this
aspect, you had Dogranio Don Armage.
Yeah, you did. I was letting it slide because I knew who you meant. But like for Kiramager, you have the shadowed out Yodam along with the army, and then the generals in the center. And as they've been introducing them, they've been taking up spots, and there's one giant gap. So to me, that they're at least one, and given the pacing of this episode, this would be about the let's start to introduce that next one, because that at least gets us all 4 generals by episode 40, which gives us anywhere between 5 and 10 episodes to deal with all the generals and the final villain.
So if we assume like the standard 45 to 48 episodes, then we are in the last 14 to 17. And with the way this show is, I'm willing to believe that we're leaning more towards the 45.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Um, then again, I think the last parody show we had 51 episodes. I think
Parody.
Car Ranger,
I don't know how many
or
Car
would have been
Ranger
Turbo.
had because the only one I can think that beat 50 was Kaku Ranger at 53.
Give me 1 second while I pop this back
Yeah,
up because I had it up earlier.
yeah, look into that. Akiba Ranger only got 26 episodes, but that's unofficial.
Car Ranger was 48 plus 2 movies. That's where it
That,
threw me off.
yeah, that sounds like more accurate because like Kaku Ranger is the one that I can think of that definitively beat 50.
Um, but given the whole that was on the longer side for it, I could see them doing it again. And the show's good enough for them to warrant it too. Um, I mean, the 48 is about the average. The last out of the last three, it was 48.
Oh, really?
Q 40 Rio Soldier was 48, Q Ranger was 48, Lupat was 51.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize Lupin went for so long. That was almost a year straight.
Right. Zhuoger was 48.
What was the last one we got that was like 44 or 45? How long ago was that?
That is currently what I'm sliding through. I want to say no,
Maybe,
no, that was 50. Go Busters was 50.
maybe that's just more of a writer thing.
Go Kaiser was 51.
Wow.
50. Go Sager was 50. Shinkanger was 49. Go Anger was 50.
Okay, so you
Geki
know what?
Ranger.
This is like the 45 is probably more of a writer thing.
Yeah, I think so because with the majority have been around between
Okay.
48 and 50.
Okay.
50.
So, all right. So, like more accurate statistics to work off of. So, 48 episodes. We're in the last 17.
Yeah. Um. Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm still clicking through this list. I. Nope. Even O Ranger was 48. Conquer Ranger is officially the longest because it had 53 episodes.
Yeah, no, that one I knew for sure.
It had 2 more than what were the average of what we expect. Yeah, for all of Heisei, it's been average of 50.
All right,
So yeah,
so I'm gonna assume 48 episodes then. So last 17. So probably about 10 episodes this arc, 7 episodes final arc.
like I said, which adds in the whole there's 10 episodes to get the next general in to show the threat that general is, and enough time for Yodam to get fed up with everything.
Right. When Yodam shows up, that's probably when the final arc is officially starting.
But then again,
Although
they could also, to be
he
fair,
could
they could
show
also
up in
pull
like
the,
2 episodes.
yeah, they could go the Geki Ranger route, where the final villain shows up in the last episode and that's it.
He didn't show up in the last episode.
Long didn't show up at the. I could swear Long showed up in like the last episode, last 2 episodes.
Like his true form appeared at the very end, but like
Okay,
he was there for about halfway through the series.
okay, fine. Hellas.
Hellas, yeah. That was out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
Hellas literally showed up at the last possible point. And like, while and I firmly accept that Dogranio fit into that bubble, considering the fact that he literally did nothing until that point. He may have been around, but he gave zero fucks. It pretty much got to the point of, well, fuck it, I'm the only one left. Might as well.
Alright, so thanks for joining us tonight, everybody, and we'll be back on Tuesday for more Kiramager.
Thank you all for joining. I want Jolly Ranchers now.